This is your World War III breaking news update. I got to make this quick. Oh boy, I told you guys 2 days ago that they were getting ready to nuke Iran. In fact, I think I even used something like this that you're seeing behind me here in the thumbnail, and I can't believe they're actually going to do it. I'm still in disbelief because here we are. They're getting ready to pull the trigger. Your world is about to change. Now, we have confirmation that a half dozen, possibly 7 of the 20 B-2 stealth bomber fleet is being forward deployed. I repeat, a half dozen stealth bombers being forward deployed to Diego Garcia Air Base, which is south of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean. This is one of 2 very critical U.S. air bases in the Indo-Pacific. And that, of course, is going to put Yemen and Iran in striking distance. Now, I highly doubt you would need such a massive force for Yemen, especially considering you have all of these aircraft carriers headed to Yemen as we speak. I think there's going to be 4 in total if you add up all of the aircraft carriers of the coalitional forces. So they're getting ready for something major, guys. Now, in order to do Iran, you either need tactical nuclear weapons or you need massive ordnance penetrator bombs that can only be deployed on these big bombers, all right? And you're probably going to need a lot of them, which is why they're amassing so much force. Iran presumably has something the equivalent of an S-400 with good radars that could potentially definitely detect, the U.S.'s normal bombers, maybe even detect the stealth bomber. Who knows? If they can shoot down a stealth bomber, that's going to be a game changer if they can do it. If they can see it, they can shoot it down. They have the means of shooting it down. I mean, the Houthis are shooting down drones operating at 50,000 feet. There's no reason why the Iranians couldn't shoot down a bomber if they can have the radars that can actually see it. Maybe they do. We're not going to know until it actually goes down. But never before have the stars been aligned for the neocons in such a way to do Iran, and they probably never will be for years, decades, if ever again, in the way that they are right now. You have the most pro-Israeli government in history, I would argue, currently in the White House, which is crazy considering what has just happened in the last year. Oil is relatively low, okay, and the strategic oil reserve is full enough that if Trump needed to take some of the pressure off the system, he could open up the spigot and he could do it under the justification that they're going to drill, baby, drill, and don't worry, we're going to fill it back up again. You have the proxy network, which has been decimated from Syria to Iraq to Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Yemen, all of which have been systematically destroyed. Yemen is really the final domino to fall before they go into Iran. In fact, it's going to be the bridge. It is going to be the vector through which they can enter into Iran, because what's likely going to happen, and I think this is the only thing that's missing, they have everything. They have the tacit support of MAGA, who for the most part is either going to be oblivious to a war in Iran, they're going to be indifferent. Many will actually support it, not all, but many. I think you're going to have some libertarian, non-interventionist purists who are going to rail against the idea, but, they'll be placated by whatever type of domestic fiasco unfolds. And in the very least, what they can do is throw out or hope for some more Disneyland race baiting fiasco, culture war dealio, possibly, sprinkle some Epstein files in there and JFK and drones in Fort Knox, and they'll be able to distract people. There never has been a better time for them to attack Iran, and you can bet that they're going to seize on this opportunity. So I suspect that in the coming weeks, months at the latest, we're going to see a major operation against Iran. Now, there's a lot of geopolitical context here. There's some interplay between what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and what is going on here. I have some technical data and the rationale for this hypothesis to present to you today, because I'm not a military aviational expert. I only pretend to be. So I'm going to rattle off the data just so you have all of the data that you need to make an informed opinion about all this. But all I can say is that you need to prepare. Okay, you absolutely need to prepare, because things could go off the rails really, really fast. And it cannot be understated the extent to which this is abnormal to have such a large force posture. And all of these stealth bombers will be accompanied with those 18 aerial refueling tankers that are going to be at their disposal. So this is big, and this could just be the beginning of a buildup. Now, Trump issued Iran an ultimatum the other day. He said, you have a couple months to comply and basically renounce your non-commitment to getting nuclear weapons, because of course the Iranians have never stated they wanted nuclear weapons, although they have stated that they are a latent nuclear state, in the sense that they're a threshold nuclear state, in the sense that they could make a nuclear weapon arguably within weeks, possibly days. In fact, I've seen some Iranian pundits say that they can do it within a day if they wanted to, that they have all the components. So Trump made them an ultimatum saying you have 2 weeks to comply. Now, the Iranians are never going to dismantle their nuclear program. And of course, because of the history with the Soleimani assassination, they know that this means war, which is why today they released yet another video of this massive labyrinthine subterranean complex that appears to be home to hundreds, if not thousands, of intermediate range, long range, short range, anti-ship missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, you name it, bombs galore in these massive complexes. Iran is prepared for World War III. Okay, I mean, look at this. This is absolutely crazy, considering they have dozens of these facilities, and this is where the same type of facility that their nuclear centrifuges are going to be buried. The only way you can do that, the only way you're going to put a dent in any of that, is by utilizing either tactical nuclear weapons or these massive ordnance penetrators, and lots of them. And the last I heard, I don't think they have a lot of those at their disposal. The U.S. Air Force, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think they had like 20 or something, 20 operational Moab type bombs. And of course, you need a big, big bomber in order to carry those things. So you need a stealth bomber. If they can shoot down a stealth bomber, it's a game-changing situation, okay? Because you're putting them up against a near peer, possibly an S-400. Well, the Russians have allegedly tipped off the Iranians that an American attack is coming, okay? Now, this is unconfirmed. This is through the Telegram grapevine, just the part about the Russian intelligence sharing with the Iranians. So take that one with a grain of salt, but I would not be surprised. The question is are the Russians going to assist the Iranians in defending themselves from this style of an attack? Because what you need to understand is that the Russians do benefit slightly from a managed conventional war in Iran. They don't want a nuclear war. They don't want regime change in Iran. They don't want to open up their southern flank. They don't want their potential ally in that region to be decapitated. That's not what they want. But they do want Iran to go to war with the United States and Israel in a sustained but manageable way, okay? Because it benefits them with oil price. It takes the attention off them internationally, so they can continue to advance in Europe. And the only person who's not really going to be happy about this is China, but they have a lot of contingency plans as well. So guys, it looks like it's happening. And, you know, I used to think that these guys think multidimensionally about these things, and I think we just have to take it at its face. They're going to attack Iran. They're getting everything in position. Could this be an attempt to intimidate the Iranians, this forward deployment of their most sophisticated assets? It could be, and I would also say that what you're likely going to see is any attack that happens is going to be preceded by some sort of, pager style asymmetrical attack like we see in Lebanon. Remember, before Nasrallah was assassinated, there were talks of potential rapprochement between the Israelis and the Lebanese. So, they want to potentially get the Iranians to lower their guard to a certain extent at the same time. So I think this 2-month window that Trump has given, I would not be surprised if something happens within the next few days, possibly the next few weeks. In fact, you have Tulsi Gabbard today, who I believe, what is her position again? National Security Secretary of Intelligence. That's what she is. She came out today and deceptively, I should say, stated that they don't have any intelligence that the Iranians are getting ready to develop a nuclear bomb. Now, a lot of people would applaud Tulsi, because of course that's why a lot of people were supporting her, is because she was supposed to be anti-war. But when it comes to the Middle East, not so much. She's proven to be anything but. And I believe what she is doing here is making the Iranians believe that perhaps the US's intentions are not to attack them, and that this forward deployment of stealth bombers is just a maneuver and an attempt to induce readiness fatigue on the part of the Iranians, possibly try to create unrest within the country of Iran in terms of their domestic affairs, you know, rattle their economy a little bit. But I think they start doing this thing where they're giving out mixed messages and this strategic ambiguity where on the one hand they're saying, well, we don't think Iran's a threat, but on the other hand, every other day they're saying that we think that Iran has the potential to be a nuclear threshold state, and that they're in this state of latency and can easily, you know, switch over to being a nuclear threat. So it's very likely that we're going to see an attack come, because there never has been a better time if you're a neocon to do it. Like, you have the public support, more or less. You don't have to have the majority, right? All you need right now, the final ingredient that they need to see this thing through, is some